Okay, so we are continuing from where we ended in our last lessons. We are looking at parameters and an argument. Parameters and an argument. So let's look at this kind of definition from W3 schools. Information that can be passed to functions is what is known as the parameters. Okay, and uh, parameters are specific. They are specified after function name inside the parentheses. You can add as many parameters as you want. Just separate them with what? With commas. And then I think down here we have some kind of definition with parameters. All right. Now what we can do is let's go to the code and then specifically let me create one other function down here. So down here, when we see parameters, they are the variables the function depends on. They are the variable the function will need in order to perform its task. Okay, now look at something here. I'll have a void and then a function called greet user. Okay, now the question you ask yourself is, if we want to greet user, what do we need? At least we need their name. So let's say the name of the user we want to greet, John Smith, and then so we say hello and then the name, right? I hope you understand and you know what is happening. Name is a variable and then it's storing the value John Smith. So hello name is simply going to output hello John Smith. Let me just put the calling of the function up here. So greet user like this. The function is called, I'll just add a line down here so that the greet user output will be different, like a space will come in between the greet user output and the values down there. Like you can see we have it here and then down there is the other values. Okay, so hello John Smith. Now we know that the information we need in order for us to actually complete this function is the name, and so we have the name variable created in it, and then the name the function is called. But you see, one goal of creating function is we want functions to be reusable. Any function that is not reusable is not really serving its purpose. So functions are always supposed to be reusable, meaning the same function can do many things. Get it? It should be like a template where you can edit it anytime to have a different output. When you go to Microsoft Word, you can download a template. John can download the same template, edit it to suit himself. Francesca can also have the same version, the same template, edit it, and then it will be unique for her. You get it? So functions are also supposed to be the same. It's supposed to be a template or lines of code, blocks of code that should be reusable. Okay, reusable. But if you look at what we have here, it's not really serving that purpose. So when we call the greet user function again, and then lastly greet user function, let me actually execute, and you can see always the function is greeting one person. So if this one was an actual application we have hosted or an application that customers are using, each time they log into the dashboard or when they log into their profile, they are going to see hello John Smith. So it can be that the person is Kwame but still is going to see John Smith. If it looks like this, then it means the function is not complete. Okay, so how can we complete this? That is where the concept of parameters comes in. Now the concept of parameters simply states that the variables the function would depend on to perform an action, those kind of variables, move them into the round bracket. So instead of having this variable within the function, I'll move it from here and then I'll push it inside the function's round bracket. Okay, the greet function is it just need a name. Okay, if the function is supposed to maybe have some other kind of input, like maybe the person's position or the kind of language the person speaks, then we have to add comma, and then the next one can follow. So maybe strange, let's make it position, string position. You get it? If it looks like this, then it means the function will need two kind of input in order to complete the task, the name and then what, the position. But this time around, this function want to greet the person by name, so we don't need the position, just the name. Okay, so what comes in mind? Always try as much as possible to give the function the input it will need or require to perform an action. Those kind of input, it can be many. If it is 1, 2, 3, 4, expose them in the round bracket, and this is what we call the what, the parameters. Okay, now when you are adding another one, just comma will come and then the next one can follow. It's just like how we create variables. If you want to add again, comma will come and then in that order. But since it's just one, you have to clean it and then take off the comma. Comma will only come when you have another one to add. But if there's no comma, you can just leave it like this. Okay, but watch something. This time around, when we run the program, there's going to be an error. The main reason why there's an error is, now at first the function wasn't having anything in the round bracket. The variable was created inside it, but we have made some kind of modification and we've changed the implementation of the function. So now it's having what we call the what, the parameter. So since the function is having a parameter, when calling it, we are supposed to pass something we call argument. Okay, so what are arguments? The arguments are the values for the parameters. So you created this function with a string name variable inside. You are expected to pass the value each time you call the function. So the value for the name for this person will be Francis. Again, let's do the same for the others. This one is going to be Kofi, and then last one is going to be John is not there, right? Let me add John. Okay, so run the program now and check what will happen. So the same line of code, based on the input we supplied here, you can see the output has changed. The first one is greeting John, Francis, and then Kofi. You get it? So we can always use the same line of code, but the input to the function will change. The Francis you see here, you see, for the first function or for the first function instance call, the first function call here, it's simply it's a copy of what you have up here, but that copy is going to have name of what, Francis. The same thing is what is happening down here. You call the function and then the name is going to be changed throughout. Okay, so name here is not an actual name, but it's going to be, it will depend on the kind of value that will be passed when the function is called. So if it is the value is 1, 2, 3, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 here, but I believe nobody will do that. Okay, so this is what we call the argument, and then parameters, they are this particular one. I hope you are with me. Okay, so let me just remove them and then I'll leave just one. Now again, the calculate age and then the calculate price function is not really serving its purpose at all. Now each time you call this function, I think it's going to give us 40 years. So always it's giving us 40 years, and that is not the right kind of function we want to have. So what we can do is, since the variable within the function is static, that means always when we call the function, it's assuming that the current year is 2025 and then the birth year is 1985. What if now we want to calculate the age of someone who was born in 2007? That means this function can't do that. And the only solution will be that we move the variables the function is depending on to perform the task. We move them from inside and expose them in the what? In the parameters. Sorry, in the round bracket, parentheses. So to do that, we just copy this one, move it from here, inside, and then another one the same. So calculate age will need two functions in order to perform its task. Let's clear these ones from there. Now current year is here, and then birth year is also here. So this time around, whenever you call a calculate age variable, you are expected to pass two kind of values to these parameters. The first value will be the current year you are in, and then the next one will be the what? The birth year for the person you are, trying to calculate their age. Are you with me? Alright, so now this is how we can do things. Let me just cut it and then take it one by one. So calculate age. We run the program now and there's an error because at first there wasn't anything. But now that the function is having parameters, we will need to supply argument. So what's the current year for the person? Current year we are in. So that is 2025. When I add a comma, check, you can see down here, there's the function signature showing. The first one is the current year, and then the next one you see here is birth year. This is to show you that you are done with the first value for current year, and the next one you need to enter is the birth year. That's why the color is even different. This one is grayed out, and this one is I think is green or something, blue or something. Okay, so let's pass that. The birth year is 2007. And please take note, if the function needs just 2, you can't supply more than that. The function needs just 2, right? So you can't give it more than that. And it's not possible you can change it. It's always static. Since the first variable or parameter you created was current year, the program is expecting that always the first thing that comes will be current year. Then the next one, the birth year, is also, always what comes last will be the birth year. So you changing it will be your own mistake. The function will not assume, or it will not, reverse them for you. So that's the kind of mindset we need to have. Then when we finish, let's say age is equal to the result. Now when we run a program, that means if you were born in 2007, now you are 18 years old. Okay, let's check again. We can change this a bit to my own birth year, 1914, and when we execute, you can see, hey, wow, that's my age. You get it? So actually the same function, okay, based on how the kind of values you supply here is going to actually change the whole thing. Okay, so that's the beauty of using function. It makes the code reusable. So one line of code based on the input you supply is going to be able to give you different output. So the input will determine the output. If let's say the current year is 2020 and you were born in 1993, if you execute this code, you realize it's going to give you a different output. That means you are 27. But suppose we are no more in 2020 but 2025, instead of it being 27, it's going to be 32. Okay, so that's how you can see this function works. Okay, now our calculate age function is working as it's supposed to be. Okay, then we have the calculate price, but I'm going to leave this one for you as an assignment. Do this one and then display the function, or do it and then call the function in the int main. When you finish, you can just put it down in the comment, or you can even go to my Telegram channel and then send it there. Okay, but it's best you can put it down in the comment. Just show me how you did it. Okay, that is it. So instead of this one being static, you can see the calculate price is always going to be the same when you call it. The quantity will be 2, and then the unit price always will be 2. Expose them in the parameter, in the round bracket parenthesis, and then call the function, pass some values, and let's look at what will happen. Okay, again, let me create one function. So void print number. Okay, print number list limit. So the goal of this function is, when you call the function and you pass 20, it's going to print from 1 to 20. If you call the function and you pass 100, it's going to generate from 1 to what? 1 to 100. That's how this function is going to be. Now what we can do is we say for loop int I is equal to, we want to always start from 1, and our condition state that the I should be less than or equal to the limit. That's the number the user will type, and then we will use a step of 1. We call the I inside. So this function is also using parameter. It's going to be reusable. Okay, reusable. Now I will also break the line like this, and then print number list. If I pass 10 here and I run the program, function is giving me 1 to 10. If I change it from 10 and then I make it 1000, function is giving me 1000. You get it? If we add additional 2 zeros and we run the program, so the code is generating the numbers. You get it? Just a single command is able to, give us all that we're looking for. But it's not done with the generation, but you can see it will finish. Let me pause it and then wait for some time. It will finish. So you can see up to the value, right? So that's the goal of the beauty of using parameters and an argument. So what did we do in this lecture? We started looking at parameters and an argument. We saw that how do we create or how do we expose parameters. This one is not magic, and there's no any formula you always have to follow to know the parameters to give to your function. You are the programmer, you are the creator. Okay, you know the kind of function you want to create. The question you ask yourself is, this function I'm coming to create, what are the necessary input the function will need? If you want to calculate age, input you need will be the current age and then the birth year, the current year and then the birth year. Those are the information you need in order for you to be able to start with your calculation. These ones we call them input. So you ask yourself, what input will I need for my function? When you are able to know the input, those input are what supposed to be the parameters. Simple as that. And when calling the function, you pass values in place of the what, or you pass values for the parameters. So this is the variable you will create, and then this one will be the value you give to the variable. So parameter in the creation aspect, and then argument in the calling aspect. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.